J.R. Richard had become one of the top pitchers in the game by late July 1980, throwing 2 complete game shutouts while Dale Murphy and many other elite hitters of the time would say he was the, quote, toughest pitcher to get a hit off of. Today, any sort of discomfort by a pitcher is taken seriously, but when Richard complained of a dead arm, many in the media said he was making it up, while others stated he was just jealous of Nolan Ryan's $4.5 million contract. But on July 30th, it took nearly death for Richard to prove something was wrong. While thrown at the Astrodome, he collapsed.
J.R. Richard suffered a stroke. Most people doubted the 31-year-old Richard would ever put on a baseball uniform again. But now he's at spring training camp trying for a comeback.
After multiple failed comeback attempts, J.R. Richard retired from baseball. Houston has had Nolan Ryan, Roy Oswalt, and currently Justin Verlander. Yet J.R. Richard is argued as the greatest Astro pitcher of all time in just 6 full seasons.
What a terrific outing by Brandon Webb. A one-hit shutout.
Brandon Webb was the most dominant pitcher in the National League, but just 3 years after winning the Cy Young at age 27, he never pitched in the majors again. This set Arizona back 15 years to get where they were when Webb left. Pitching injuries aren't new, but they become more common for the game's best as of recent. Spencer Strider came to 2024 with the best odds to win the NL Cy Young, but after a less than average first start, it was revealed he had an elbow injury that will need Tommy John surgery to end his season. The Players Association is blaming the new pitch clock, but studies are finding it's the velocity of the pitches being thrown. Could it be both, or something completely different? Trevor Bauer has caused controversy long before he was suspended from the majors. Throwing baseballs over after being pulled is just the tip of the iceberg. Bauer made the sticky stuff famous on live television and revealed why so many pitchers were having career years.
MLB obviously came out with a statement today, and I was just about the sticky stuff about pitchers using, and I was just wondering what your reaction is to that.
Legal or illegal?
This wasn't the first time with Bauer either. In the year he won the Cy Young with the Reds, before the season he claimed 70% of the game's pitchers used some sort of illegal substance on the ball. The strikeout rate was the highest it's been in history, and the batting average was the lowest since 1968, leading to a drop in runs and viewership. The numbers improved, and with it, MLB decided to crack down on it, suspended anyone using foreign substances for 10 games. The bat started to hit the ball more, which is what MLB wanted, but it also could be the cause of the newest round of injuries. Dodgers pitcher Tyler Glasnow has dealt with plenty of injury, leading to him being traded from Tampa. Before the trade, he indirectly blamed Bauer for the injuries 3 years ago, confirming he used sticky stuff but only to get a better grip on the ball because of his big hands instead of increasing the spin like Bauer and many others did. Glasnow squeezed the ball twice as hard in the 2 games he couldn't use the banned substance, which he blames for leading to his Tommy John surgery. Trevor Bauer was never name-dropped by Glasnow, but Bauer's public comments about the spider tack and any other foreign substances led to the quick ban of it. Walker Buehler was injured quickly after too, pitching in just 12 games in 2022 before needing Tommy John surgery later that year like Glasnow. The numbers show Glasnow didn't need to use it to cheat, as he's still a great pitcher in 2024. Unlike others. Glasnow wasn't the only one to suffer from the cold turkey. With Clayton Kershaw nearing the end of his career, the Dodgers were hoping to get a new ace to take over. Walker Buehler was on that path with Dustin May right behind him. Buehler has pitched half a season since the start of 2022, and May hasn't pitched a full season entering his 6th year. In that infamous 2021 season, May's fastball averaged 98.3, the 9th highest in the league that year. From people who get paid a lot more than me, studies they did show that the majority of tears in pitchers came from the ones who threw over 91.7. Not as surprising, the injuries usually came in relievers compared to starters, with the relievers throwing significantly harder as they can to unload the tank quicker instead of spreading it through 5 to 9 innings. Velocity is what gets prospects on most scouts' radars. The number 2 overall pick was put on Sports Illustrated at just 17 because of his fastball. Heavily mentioned he threw 102. Would he have had the same hype if he didn't throw over 100? Green's average fastball dropped from 98.9 and 98.3. In 2022, he had the fastest average for a starter. Of course, there's a big difference between fastest and average, but at age 24 and entering his 3rd season, there's plenty of time for Green to live up to his expectations, but right now, he's been limited. In the midst of his first pro season, he sprained his elbow, then experienced a setback that resulted in Tommy John, resulting in him missing all of 2019. Green has been on the injured list in both his major league seasons. Just later that year, Jacob deGrom was 2nd as a starter in average velocity. He missed the season after 6 starts and might be on the mound for the Rangers at the end of 2024, but his clear path to the Hall of Fame has hit a brick wall. Prospects with an 80 grade fastball are soaring up the top 100 rankings, including the number 1 overall pick, Paul Skeens. In a league that gets faster, the injuries have risen. Although it can't get you strikeouts or more sign-in money, are human arms supposed to throw that hard consistently or at all? In 2019, just over 1,000 pitches were thrown over 100, but just 4 years later, that number more than tripled. And with that, 51% of the pitchers that appeared in a game that year ended up on the IL at least once, including 5 of the 7 highest paid pitchers in baseball. Trainers are better, more money is being used to keep guys healthy, less pitches are being thrown, and their workloads have decreased. Throwing 100 has gone from must-see TV to no-namers coming out of the bullpen and casually reaching the mark. Clayton Kershaw averages a fastball under 91 and has only reached up to 96.8 on the gun. He's one of the greats for many reasons, but his fastball speed is not one of them. His injury history is long, and his most recent is keeping him out for the majority of 2024. Injured before the pitch clock and thrown in the low 90s means his injury history has to have a different reason behind it. Dodger fans have seen this story before at Sandy Koufax, whose career ended at age 30 due to health concerns, despite him winning 3 of the last 4 Cy Youngs. The difference between the two? Koufax has sub-1 ERA in 57 postseason innings, while Kershaw
in game 1 of that series. High fly ball to deep left field. Forget about it. It's gone. He's had a rough time before in the postseason. This has to be the worst of all those outings.
Kershaw has had a tough October track record, but a start this bad was also due to not being fully healthy. This start also resulted in Kershaw's return to the Dodgers. From one MVP to another, Mo Vaughn blames analytics for the injuries. Goose Gossage hates anything related to the numbers side of the modern game, but Vaughn believes they should be in the game, just not the end-all, be-all like it is for so many players. Velocity, spin rate has to do what was previously mentioned, but what about when a manager's entire personality is about analytics?
I have no idea what just happened. I've never seen this. Miley gives up a leadoff walk, and they took him out.
Brandon Woodruff, who has had Craig Counsell as his manager his entire career, is out all of 2024 and missed the 2023 wildcard due to shoulder injury that resulted in surgery. Freddie Peralta, their current ace, has suffered 2 that were more minor than Woodruff's. And of course, it's not fair to put all the blame on the now Cubs manager, as Counsell is more than safe with most of his pitchers, rarely ever allowing his starters to reach 100 pitches, mostly because of the numbers given up going through the order a 3rd time. Brian Snitker uses zero analytics, and he's seen Cy Young favorite Spencer Strider fall this year, and Max Fried hit the injured list 3 separate times in 2023. Rob Manfred introducing the pitch clock caused a divide among baseball fans. It wasn't baseball anymore. It's a much needed rule to say baseball. No middle ground. Attendance and viewership showed it helped the game grow regardless of opinions. Although some fans still aren't a fan, it's not going away after results in its first year. But its future could be in trouble after the first couple weeks of 2024 that have seen some of the game's best hit the injured list after just a start or 2. Players have blamed the pitch clock for the injuries, and the Players Association fully blamed it, claiming MLB is putting their biggest asset at risk: the players. Speeding up the game even faster after the first year of it, despite strong opposition from the players. It's the easy cop-out answer for the newest wave of pitcher injuries, but MLB put out a study. They found no evidence that pitchers who worked quickly in 2023 were more likely to sustain an injury, and also found no evidence that pitchers who sped up their pace were more likely to sustain an injury than those who did not.
Huge blow to the New York Yankees. Their ace, Gerrit Cole, will miss at least 4 to 6 weeks with an elbow injury.
Reigning Cy Young Gerrit Cole can only laugh, feeling like a child between divorced parents. Cole doesn't agree with the studies that the pitch clock has nothing to do with it, with the rise of injuries, but also realizes that spin rate and velocity could have something to do with it. Cole is out for the first 2 months with an elbow injury, his first arm-related injury in his 11-year career. Justin Verlander has seen his fair share of injuries in the last few years. He's missed the start of 2024 due to a shoulder injury, but he blames the baseball. Juice Baseballs broke numerous records, including ones that even the steroid era hasn't seen. Verlander called the balls a fucking joke and knew 100% that the balls were changed, a statement that nearly every pitcher claimed. But what could the baseballs have to do with injuries? Verlander said in a rehab start that the balls changed how he had to pitch, saying he had to get swing and misses compared to letting the balls get in play, knowing a typical fly ball in other years would go over the fence, making him throw harder and get a higher spin rate. In a 4-minute interview blaming everything mentioned so far, but even went farther to call it a pandemic and being worried for the kids CC's on Instagram throwing as hard as they can. He wants it all to be fixed but knows it will take years. We haven't seen the last of the biggest names in the mound getting injured, even if we know a consistent factor is the velocity. But how do you tell a pitcher to throw softer?